Okay. Greetings. My name is Nozipho Kanyile, and I'm with.
Taimia Mazingani.
And I'm Amira Zalganka.
So, today we will be presenting our research project titled The Role of Sector Education and Training Authority Driven Training Initiatives in Transitioning Persons with Disabilities to Work, with a focus on communication skills. So, we will be covering these parts of our presentation: the introduction, literature we know, purpose of study, methodology, results, and discussion, and future implications for SLPs. So, the transition from education to employment is a critical phase for persons with disabilities and often is marked by significant challenges. This research project aims to explore how the sector education and training authorities in South Africa are facilitating this transition by focusing on the development of communication skills, which are essential for workplace integration. So, CETA is a government organization that focuses on training and providing people with skills who are employed or who are seeking employment. CETAs monitor the quality of the education and training in each of these sectors. A training provider is a company that acts as the middleman between CETA and persons with disabilities, whilst training facilitators train and help to equip persons with disabilities with skills they need for the workplace. This study investigated the experiences of training facilitators concerning communication skills within the program, highlighting the facilitators and challenges they faced in developing persons with disabilities with adequate communication skills in their preparation for work. So, why focus on communication skills? As speech language pathologist, our domain is communication, and we understand that joint meaning making happens through communication. Secondly, communication skills are foundational for effective workplace environments, making employees with strong communication skills a highly uh, highly valuable in companies. This qualitative research offered insights into best practices and identified areas for improvement, ultimately contributing to more effective training initiatives and better employment outcomes for persons with disabilities. We have noted that there is limited research on the topics of persons with disabilities and even smaller that focus on communication skills. Studies indicate that effective transition programs are crucial in mitigating these challenges, emphasizing the need for skill development and employee engagement. Successful transition initiatives not only enhance employability, but also contributes to the social inclusion and overall well-being of persons with disabilities. However, there remains a gap in the consistent implementation of these programs and how much focuses on communication skills in these programs, thus underscoring the need for ongoing research and policy development to support persons with disabilities in achieving meaningful employment. Many studies emphasize that communication skills are foundational for workplace success and that persons with disabilities often face unique challenges in developing these skills. Some research done in South Africa underscores the importance of tailored communication training programs to address these challenges. Additionally, a study found that there was a significant impact of speech language pathologists in enhancing communication skills among persons with disabilities. These studies collectively advocate for more inclusive and comprehensive training initiatives to improve employment outcomes for persons with disabilities in South Africa, and speech language pathologists may assist in bridging that gap.
So, in terms of the link between our study, the South African context, and the SLP profession, during apartheid, persons with disabilities in South Africa faced significant educational inequalities compared to able bodied individuals. This historical discrimination contributed to poor literacy rates, with 4.4 million adults identified as illiterate in 2019, with 11.6% being men and 12.5% being women. While specific statistics for persons with disabilities were not available, they are generally at a higher risk of literacy difficulties due to their disabilities. According to the World Health Organization, the number of persons with disabilities actively participating in the labor market tends to be lower than the total number of persons with disabilities due to factors which have an impact on the supply and demand aspects of the labor market. Possession of skills, knowledge, competences, and behavioral attitudes that are needed in the labor market all refer to the supply aspect of persons with disabilities in this area. In terms of the demand aspect, this focuses on the number of employers who can provide persons with disabilities with employment, as well as a supportive environment for this. Persons with disabilities are discriminated against and excluded in workplaces, especially when they have a communication impairment. This is one of the many challenges that they experience. SLPs typically work with children and supporting education. How we support the transition to work and success at work is a gap in SLP practices. SLPs play a crucial role in advocating for persons with disabilities, emphasizing a holistic approach that goes beyond rehabilitation and clinical interventions. Raising awareness about the challenges faced by persons with disabilities is essential, as SLPs work to break down barriers and enhance access to participation in workplaces and communities. Research is needed to explore various communication skills that can support better communication among persons with disabilities. This study aimed to investigate how training providers facilitate these communication skills in learnerships to prepare persons with disabilities for their transition into the workforce. In terms of our methodology, our study used a descriptive exploratory approach to gather qualitative data. We worked with 3 training providers and interviewed 2 to 3 participants from each, allowing them to speak in their preferred language. We chose participants purposefully and conducted semi-structured interviews, which we then transcribed and analyzed for themes. To qualify for the study, participants had to be from CETA-approved training providers with over 3 years of experience working with persons with disabilities. We followed ethical guidelines focused on 4 key principles, which are autonomy, beneficence, justice, and non-maleficence. Participants received a clear explanation of the study, including any risks and benefits, and they voluntarily signed consent forms. Although there were no direct benefits for participants, the goal was to enhance the lives of persons with disabilities and help them transition into the workplace. Everyone was treated fairly, had the right to withdraw at any time, and we ensured there was no physical or psychological harm. We also protected participants' anonymity with personal details accessible only to ourselves and our supervisors. Before we started our interviews, we got ethical approval and ran some pilot interviews to fine-tune our questions and improve our interviewing skills. We made sure to get consent from the relevant companies before participants signed the consent forms. The interviews were held at the companies and we recorded them for later analysis. To analyze the data, we used thematic analysis to find and interpret key themes. This process started with us getting familiar with the data by actively engaging with it and manually transcribing the recordings, which helped ensure the findings were reliable. We used MaxQDA, which is a software program, to generate codes from the data and then group those codes into themes using tables and maps. During the reviewing stage, we checked these themes for how well they matched the data and the study's goals. Each theme was carefully defined and named, highlighting its unique aspects and its connection to our research question. We also identified sub-themes. And finally, we put together a report to present our analysis clearly and credibly. In terms of rigor and trustworthiness, for credibility, we recorded all interviews and conducted pilot interviews to ensure a smooth process and address any issues. Debriefing sessions among ourselves and our supervisors further supported credibility. For transferability, despite our study's small scale, we aimed to ensure our findings could be relevant to other CETA and skills development programs. We held weekly meetings to discuss coding progress and ensure data saturation, utilizing detailed descriptions and purposive sampling to facilitate transferability. In terms of dependability, we used consistent interview questions and techniques and regularly updated and recorded the data collection process. For confirmability, we maintained this by following standardized protocols and remaining impartial during interviews. We used journals to note potential biases and reflected on our experiences after the interviews and discussed these as a team.
During our study, four major themes came up, highlighting both the challenges and opportunities for improvement. Here is what we found. People with disabilities need both verbal and nonverbal communication skills. This includes things like literacy, body language, eye contact, and professional communication, such as writing emails and interacting with customers. Training providers have been adapting the CETA curriculum to help with these challenges. They use role play, group activities, presentations, and they simplify materials by summarizing, using bigger fonts, and highlighting key points. While these efforts are driven by passionate facilitators, there's a clear need for a formal guideline. However, two major barriers remain. The curriculum is not fully inclusive and there is limited collaboration with companies to provide work placements. Without structured support, it is difficult for persons with disability to fully develop the communication skills they need to transition into the workplace. Overall, the finding shows that SHITA needs a more flexible curriculum, stronger employer partnerships, and early intervention to better prepare persons with disabilities for communication challenges in the workplace. Now, let's dive into our key points that came out of our discussions. Both verbal and nonverbal communication is critical for workplace success, but it can be particularly challenging for persons with disabilities. Facilitators are using activities like role play to build confidence and improve practical skills. The current curriculum offers little to no communication skills for learners. Facilitators are making adjustments on their own, but they need more formal support and training to do this more effectively. A supportive workplace is crucial for developing communication skills. When employers focus on strengths and provide regular check ins, they help to build confidence and improve communication. There is a real need to update the CETA curriculum. More practical communication exercises and inclusive strategies are collaboration between CETA, speech language pathologists, and employers can ensure that learners are prepared for the workplace. Looking ahead, there are a few key areas where speech language pathologists can really make a difference. The CETA curriculum doesn't emphasize communication skills enough for persons with disabilities and doesn't offer clear guidelines for adaptations. Early intervention is critical because many children with disabilities don't have access to early childhood development centers where they can typically develop these skills. SLPs can play a big role in supporting workplace transition by helping teach communication skills that improve employability. Finally, SLPs should advocate for more inclusive workplace policies and collaborate with CETA to create a more accessible and effective curriculum. In conclusion, addressing these challenges through curriculum updates, early intervention, and collaborative efforts will help ensure that persons with disabilities have the communication skills and opportunities they need to thrive in the workplace.
As we reflect on our study, speech language pathologists often work with individuals with disabilities during childhood, but tend to lose contact as they transition to adulthood. While conducting the study, we learned that SLPs need to be more involved in higher education training programs as strong communication skills are vital for entering the workplace. Persons with disabilities face unique challenges, and just as occupational therapists adapt to workplaces for accessibility, it is equally important that SLPs advocate for environments that meet the communication needs of persons with disabilities, as communication is essential for building connections and allowing for meaningful participation for persons with disabilities. And thank you for listening to our presentation.